John chapter 9. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who had been blinded from his birth, and his disciples asked him, saying, Teacher, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither has this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night comes when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he has spoken these things, he spat upon the ground and made clay out of the spit, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said to him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is interpreted sent. He went his way therefore and washed, and came seeing the neighbors therefore, and those which had before seen him that he was blind said, Is this not he who sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I'm he. Therefore they said to him, How were your eyes open? He answered and said, A man named Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes, and said to me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. So I went and washed, and I received sight. Then they said to him, Where is he? He said, I do not know. Then they brought him to the Pharisees, the man who had been blind. It was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said to them, He put clay upon my eyes, and I washed it. Now I could see. Therefore some of the Pharisees said, This man is not from God, because he doesn't keep the Sabbath. Others say, How could it be that a sinner could do such miracles? And there was a division among them. They said to the blind man again, What do you say about him, the man who opened your eyes? And he said, He is a prophet. But the Jews didn't believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the man's parents who had received his sight. And they asked him, saying, Is this your son whom you say was born blind? How then now does he see? His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind, but by what means he now sees we do not know, or who has opened his eyes we do not know. He is of age, ask him, he can speak for himself. His parents spoke these words for fear of the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if any man confessed that he was the Christ, he then would be put out of the synagogue. Therefore his parents said, He is of age, ask him. Then they called in the man who was blind and said to him, Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said to them, Whether he is a sinner or not, I don't know, but one thing I do know is that I was blind and now I see. Then they said again to him, What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? He answered them, I have told you, and you did not listen to me. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you also want to become one of his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, You are his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spoke unto Moses, yet as for this fellow, we do not know where he came from. The man answered and said to them, Now that is remarkable, that you don't know where he's from, yet he has opened my eyes. Now we know that God doesn't hear sinners, but if any man is a worshiper of God and does his will, he will hear him. Since the world began, it wasn't heard that any man opened the eyes of one who was born blind. If this man were not of God, he could not do anything. Then they answered and said to him, You have been born in sin, and do you now teach us? And so they threw him out. Now Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he said to him, Do you believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said to him, You have both seen him, and it is he who talks with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, For judgment I have come into the world, that those which do not see might see, and those that see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees with him heard these words and said to him, Are we blind also? Jesus said to them, If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains.